Welcome to Defense Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: China can find and kill the B-21 raider with hypersonic missiles, study. Ukraine's long war and how to win it. U.S. Navy rescues ship from pirate attack in Gulf of Aden. Bank of Israel's path to rate cuts is growing shorter. Taiwan's latest poll shows outsider leading presidential race. China can find and kill the B-21 raider with hypersonic missiles, study. South China Morning Post. Researchers from China's Northwestern Polytechnical University have staged a virtual battle between a U.S. B-21-like stealth platform and its companion drone against Chinese air-to-air missiles. The study found that China could detect its opponent first. Although the U.S. would be able to mount a counterstrike, the battle would be so complex that it would take hours before the dust settles, according to the researchers. The study simulated some of China's new military capabilities, including the use of stealth aircraft, drones and hypersonic missiles. China's military is testing a two-seat version of its J-20 stealth fighter. Ukraine's long war and how to win it. Financial Times. Ukraine's war with Russia risks becoming a forgotten war as attention is diverted to other global conflicts, such as the conflict between Israel and Hamas. However, Ukraine is not despairing and is determined to continue its fight for sovereignty. The Ukrainian government is focused on transforming the economy to maximize domestic arms production and secure critical weaponry from allies. They are also hoping to use frozen Russian assets to fund reconstruction efforts and are calling on the West to provide war insurance to encourage companies to commit to rebuilding. U.S. Navy rescues ship from pirate attack in Gulf of Aden. New York Times. The U.S. Navy has intervened in the hijacking of a commercial cargo ship by pirates in the Gulf of Aden near Somalia. 2 ballistic missiles were fired from Yemen towards the U.S. Navy destroyer, but fell 10 nautical miles short. The missiles were allegedly fired by the Houthi rebels who are backed by Iran. The U.S. is investigating if Iran was involved in the attack. The U.S. ship, and other ships from the U.S.-led counter-piracy task force, responded to the crew of the commercial ship calling for help. The Central Park's crew claimed they were under attack from an unknown entity. 5 armed people fled the ship but were apprehended by the U.S. Navy destroyer. Bank of Israel's path to rate cuts is growing shorter. Bloomberg. The Bank of Israel may consider easing monetary policy as early as this week or the start of next year, depending on the central bank's confidence that it has contained the worst of the economic fallout from the war with Hamas. Economists at Morgan Stanley assign a 40% probability of a rate cut, while J.P. Morgan Chase sees the Bank of Israel moving to policy accommodation earlier than expected. The decision this week will be the first since Amir Yaron's reappointment as governor for another 5-year term. Taiwan's latest poll shows outsider leading presidential race. Bloomberg. A recent poll of Taiwanese voters has revealed that opposition candidate Ko Wen-jae has jumped into the lead ahead of the ruling party's candidate in the upcoming presidential election. Ko, the nominee for the Taiwan People's Party, received an approval rating of 31.9%, compared to 29.2% for Lai Ching-te of the Democratic Progressive Party. The Kuomintang's Ho Uih came in third with 23.6%. The poll was conducted after the TPP and KMT announced their intention to form a joint ticket, although the talks later collapsed. However, the collapse of the alliance is expected to improve Lai's chances of victory by splitting the opposition vote between 2 candidates. Netanyahu's two-front war against Hamas and for his own political survival. Reuters. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing criticism and public anger over his failure to prevent a shock Hamas infiltration of Israel on October 7. The deadly incident, in which Hamas gunmen killed 1,200 people, abducted 240 and initiated a war, has damaged Netanyahu's reputation as a security hawk. Israelis have blamed Netanyahu and some of his cabinet ministers for failing to prevent the attack. At least 3 ministers have been subjected to public derision and abuse. Despite this, Netanyahu stands to gain from the war as it delays his ongoing corruption trial and a state inquiry into why Israel was caught off guard. However, his biographer, Anshel Pfeffer, believes that Netanyahu's reputation is irretrievably damaged and that he will not receive credit for any success in the aftermath of the war. Meanwhile, Netanyahu's leading challenger, Benny Gantz, has joined the war cabinet and is offering Netanyahu stability. Although united in war, Netanyahu and Gantz differ politically. Irish author Paul Lynch wins Booker Prize for Prophet Song. Deutsche Welle. Paul Lynch has won the prestigious Booker Prize for his dystopian novel Prophet Song. The book tells the story of a woman's struggle to protect her family as Ireland collapses into totalitarianism in the near future, and a civil war forces families to flee the country. Lynch spent 4 years writing the novel, inspired by the civil war in Syria and the West's indifference. The book captures the social and political anxieties of our current moment, but also deals with timeless themes. The decision to award Lynch the prize was not unanimous, but the judging panel described the novel as a triumph of emotional storytelling. Petraeus scores 18, Air Force takes down South Dakota 58-57. Associated Press. Air Force defeated South Dakota 58-57 in a college basketball game. Ritus Petraeus led the Falcons with 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 steals. Bo Becker added 10 points and 8 rebounds, while Jeffrey Mills finished with 9 points. Paul Bruns scored 16 points for South Dakota, followed by Boston Holt with 15 points and 7 rebounds, and Caleb Stewart with 13 points. Navy working to speed up upgrades at Pearl Harbor Sewage Plant. Yahoo! The base's wastewater plant occupies 11.61 acres and processes household and industrial wastewater, providing service for up to 40,000 people. But the facility operations have always been a challenge. The Navy is ramping up efforts to complete upgrades to its troubled wastewater plant at Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam as the facility ages. The site is a flurry of workers and construction equipment working on projects throughout the plant, and JBPHH Public Works Officer Captain Rob Kleinman said that so far there is roughly $75 million invested in contracts to refurbish or replace aging equipment and facilities. Hey there, folks! It's your favorite observer from the 6 Degrees World, Dr. Six, reporting to you with the latest news from around the globe. We've got a wide range of stories today, from military battles to political races to literary triumphs. So, let's dive in and make sense of it all. In China, a recent study has found that they have the capability to detect and destroy the US B-21 Raider stealth aircraft with their hypersonic missiles. While the US may be able to mount a counterattack, it would take hours before the dust settles. This highlights China's growing military capabilities and their dedication to staying ahead in the arms race. Over in Ukraine, the war with Russia continues to rage on, but they are determined not to be forgotten. The Ukrainian government is focusing on transforming their economy to maximize arms production and secure critical weaponry from allies. They are also hoping to use frozen Russian assets to fund reconstruction efforts. It's a tough battle, but Ukraine is not giving up. In the Gulf of Aden, the U.S. Navy has come to the rescue, intervening in the hijacking of a commercial cargo ship by pirates. 2 ballistic missiles were fired at the U.S. Navy destroyer, but luckily they fell short. The U.S. is investigating if Iran was involved in the attack. It's a reminder that piracy is still a real threat in some parts of the world, and our Navy is there to protect and serve. Moving on to financial news, the Bank of Israel may consider easing monetary policy in light of the economic fallout from the war with Hamas. This decision will be closely watched by economists and could have an impact on the Israeli economy. Meanwhile, in Taiwan, a recent poll has shown that an outsider candidate, Ko Wen-je, is leading the presidential race. It's an interesting development that could shake up the political landscape in Taiwan. In the realm of politics, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing criticism over his handling of the recent war with Hamas. While the war may delay his corruption trial, it has also damaged his reputation as a security hawk. His leading challenger, Benny Gantz, has joined the war cabinet and is offering stability. It's a complex situation, with political implications that could last long after the war ends. On a lighter note, a youth Shakespeare troupe called the Upstart Crows is bringing the Wars of the Roses to life in a series of performances. It's a chance to see history come alive on stage, with sword fights and intense drama. And in the literary world, Irish author Paul Lynch has won the Booker Prize for his dystopian novel Prophet Song. It's a timely and powerful story that captures the anxieties of our current moment. Finally, in sports news, Air Force defeated South Dakota in a college basketball game. Ritus Petraeus led the Falcons with an impressive performance, and the team came out on top in a close match. And in Pearl Harbor, the Navy is working to upgrade its troubled wastewater plant to ensure it can continue to serve the base. Well, folks, that's all the news for today. I hope you enjoyed this whirlwind tour of the world. Remember, these stories are just the tip of the iceberg, and there's always more to explore and discuss. So, what are your thoughts? Do you have any burning questions or insightful comments? I'd love to hear from you. Let's keep the conversation going and see where it takes us. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the 6 Degrees world. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.